Hi there, I'm Amy, or AWayfaringFrog, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I've got another Sims 4 speed build for you, and this one's actually going to be a container home for a Fabricator, and it's sort of the first episode of a new series that I had in mind. So there's quite a few big items in The Sims 4 which are functional. So for example, the Fabricator, if you're not aware, that's an item from Eco Lifestyle, and it lets you create various things, including upgrade parts. You can create furniture, and that's one of the things that's a bit odd about Eco Lifestyle, because if you have a look at the build and buy assets that come within that pack, it doesn't really look like that many in comparison to other expansion packs, but it's because a lot of them are locked behind sort of debug live edit cheats, and they're the ones that you can create using the Fabricator machine. So it's actually quite a useful, fun item, but it's not that obvious how useful it is just by looking at it. And it's also a little bit funny looking. I'd say that it probably doesn't go with quite a lot of the eco lifestyle stuff just because it looks so new and modern in comparison, whereas eco lifestyle's all very about reusing, recycling, and there's a lot of gameplay tied to that. But as you can see, we are currently building a container home. So we've got 3 shipping containers, and it's on the shipping views lot, which by default, I think it's a starter home that's placed there, and that has some shipping containers as well. So I was kind of inspired by that. And then the back kind of container that we've got is actually going to be the fabrication room. And when I mentioned sort of starting a new series with this, I feel like it might be best to expand on that. So I've been looking for kind of prompts on how to, like, what builds to do in the future. So obviously I've got my Animal Crossing series, I've got a bit of a renovation series going, but otherwise I was just looking for some more inspiration. And I know that Dr. Ashley, if you've ever watched her videos, she started kind of a career series where she looks up the real life annual income of a specific career that's in The Sims 4 and then creates a house using that budget. And that kind of inspired me a little bit. Whilst I haven't done this based on a particular budget, I was inspired by the idea of creating the house based on a career. And so in this case, I've gone for a sort of weird career that's not as obvious. Whilst it would be fun to do like a house for an astronaut or a house for a scientist, the fabrication isn't really something that is a career. I think you can have it as a freelance career if you wanted, and there is an option to pick a fabricator. But in that sense as well, you need to be able to do candle making, I believe. And since this was all about that fabrication machine, I didn't actually include candle making in this. I figured I might do another house later on specifically for a candle maker rather than just a furniture fabricator. So that's kind of the concept behind these builds, and I think it was a lot of fun doing. I particularly enjoyed making the container homes. I don't think I've ever done them before. I might have done a small kind of container alongside an eco lifestyle house before I started YouTube, but otherwise it's kind of new to me. It's not something I do really often at all and have never, I don't think, done before. So it was really fun, and I hope you like it. I was heavily inspired by this yellow and black colour scheme, as you can see. I sort of called it the Bumblebee house for a while, just because of the colours. I think it was really fun, and yellow is probably my favourite colour, if not one of them. So I really wanted to make sure to include a lot of yellow, and I think the railings and stairs that I've got in the build, they're from the Werewolves game pack, and they have a lot of really bright coloured swatches, including this bright yellow, so it ties in really well with the eco lifestyle stuff in that sense. But now you can see that I'm just trying to structure the landscaping on this particular build because of where it is in the world. It's just in the middle of a car park. It actually looks really odd, the way that everything, all of the painted lines just abruptly end as you get to this lot is a little bit funny. I'm not really sure about what they were kind of going for when the Sims team created this, but anyway, so I tried to make it tie into those surroundings as well as possible. So I've outlined the lot with just some gravel, which is from the base game, just to help bring in that grey colour, and so it does look like it's meant to be part of the driveway, or sorry, the car park around in the world, but there's only so much that I could do with that. And then I've made just a separate path using the base game concrete tiles. And in terms of the interior, the floor plan came together fairly easily. Originally, I thought I was going to have a 3x1 bathroom downstairs, but I end up popping that upstairs, and it helps create a bit of a hallway, so there's a space between the bedroom and the stairs. I was going to have kind of like a lofted bedroom initially, but because of where the stairs needed to go, I just wasn't able to do the loft aspect, so I just did a hallway instead to add a little bit of privacy and try and deal with the fact that the bedroom ends up being quite long and skinny otherwise, but I think it works out well. I did also realize a bit later on that I've not really put any windows. I put some on the front of the build, and that's about it. I don't know what was wrong with me when I did this, but I just completely forgot about windows for the longest time, and it will be when I've pretty much finished decorating the living room, I think, and I realized, oh wait, I don't have windows on most of the house. So I do go back and add some more, don't worry, it's not going to be dark and dreary in here. I included some into the kitchen as well, so that corner does brighten up a bit. But I did use quite a bit of base game, and you can see me pulling out lots of items which you may have not seen before, and that's because these furniture pieces, including the table outside, the sofa, and the armchair, the rug, the bed, all of those are those furniture items that you can craft using the Fabricator. So they're not in the usual buy catalogue, which is really unfortunate, but you can access them easily using cheats. Just the usual show hidden objects should make them available, otherwise you'll also need the show live edit objects cheat. But you should be able to Google those cheats if you need to. And the interior is quite tiny. I did just make a living and dining space in here to go alongside the kitchen, and I used a bit of tiny living for that and the industrial loft kit. The yellow on those industrial loft stools is a bit brighter than the nicer softy yellow that you can get in the eco lifestyle furniture, but I thought it tied in well enough, and I just like the idea of bringing that extra colour. I was also really happy with the frame TV that we got in that winter cozy event recently. It's got some very wintry swatches, as well as a couple of more autumnal ones, and this kind of birch tree forest is so perfect for this yellow colour scheme, and it helped bring in a few other colours, which was nice. I did also use quite a bit of the Cozy Kitsch kit. I just really love this kit. I think it's such a fun one. It's one of the first kits that CC creators made all of the items for, rather than just collaborating, and then the Sim team made those. So that's a really fun one. And that kit was made by the CC creator Myshuno-san. So if you do go and buy that kit, I'd recommend you use Myshuno-san's little EA checkout ID on the EA store when you grab that, just to give them a bit of income towards it. I also think by adding in those creator codes, you can get a discount yourself at the moment. That's quite new. Before it was just you pay the same price, but then the creator whose code you used would get a bit of a cut. So it's nice that you can actually get a little discount as well for yourselves. So definitely check that out if you weren't aware already. Obviously, I'm still too tiny a channel to have any kind of a creator code, but I definitely would try and motivate you to use anyone's code, just any simmer that you enjoy watching. I would definitely use a code when you check out, just so that you can help support their channels, which would be really helpful, I'm sure. But now we've pretty much got the main furniture into the living room, I've just started adding a bit of clutter here and there. I really love this little stereo, which is from, again, the Cozy Kitsch kit. It's just such a cute style, and we don't really have much like that at all, so I did want to include that in here. I've also added a few other bits of clutter, including the little book stack and those little vase sets, which are just in the kitchen at the moment. I think I've started using that little book item in pretty much every build I've done since the Cozy Kitsch kit came out. I just really love it. And then under the stairs, I wanted to, since it's such a tiny home, I wanted to make it feel quite realistic. So I added in a bit of extra storage space here in the form of a modular bookshelf. I do this quite a lot whenever I've got a little stairway in a small house. It's just really fun to do, and I think it adds quite a lot to a build. So I did go ahead and include quite a bit of clutter in there, including a few items from Eco Lifestyle. I particularly like this little bowl, which is just connected together with a bit of coloured glass, I think it is. So the yellow part is the glass and then just the bowl. And it's a really cute item, but I don't use it very often. So because it had the perfect colour scheme for what I was going for, I did include it here. I also found a lot of the boxes from Dream Home Decorator were so useful for this, just because, again, it helped bring in that colour that I was going for. If you are enjoying the speed build so far as well, be sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel. And if you have any ideas or thoughts on what you'd like to see me do next for this little series, basically something like baking, painting, knitting, or even just a full career like mixology, the scientist career, things like that, those are the sorts of things that I want to try and make a house for. So it would be very specific to that kind of recreational object, like the cupcake machine or just an easel or something like that. Do let me know in the comments down below. I might have a think of a few myself and maybe do a poll just on my page later on in the week or something for the next video that I'll record. So watch out for that and be sure to vote. So hopefully you can get the video that you're most looking forward to from that. I was considering whether to do my next one actually as a tarot card reader kind of career, because whilst you can't really have that as a career, it is a way to make money in The Sims, which again is kind of what I wanted to do for this series, just to help use those items or skills that you have in The Sims and just make a house revolving all around that. So I'm tempted to have a go at that. That might not show up on the poll just because as of recording this voiceover, it's probably going to be at least a week before this video even gets uploaded and goes live for all of you, since I'm currently pre-recording as I'm moving house at the end of the month. Currently renting my house, so it's the first time ever that I'm actually buying one, which is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to being able to kind of play The Sims in real life by decorating my own house rather than just decorating virtual houses. So because I expect I'm going to be very busy towards the end of the month, I am just trying to pre-record in advance of that so I don't miss an upload. But now you can see I've just kind of added this 3x1 tiled section upstairs. And I removed it from downstairs quite a while ago, and this is going to be the bathroom. It might seem a bit too small for a bathroom, but there are certain shower items, such as I think the first ever one was from University, and then there's now one from Snowy Escape and also Love Struck. And those showers, which they don't have kind of a casing around them or whatever you want to call it, it's just a shower head and a drain. Your Sims can walk over that perfectly easily. So that goes in the center of the room, and then you have the toilet and sink on either side. And that room is entirely functional. So it's really useful for tiny homes like this, having those shower items. And it is about now. I think I was just grabbing some curtains for upstairs, and then I thought, hang on, I don't really have any windows to put my curtains on. So I started going back through and adding those. I did include some in the kitchen, as I mentioned earlier, just a few small base game ones to go under the overhead cabinets. And then I just included a few others around the bigger walls. I did then also add a doorway going to the outside. It's the same door as what's downstairs. It's got this big jutting out lip around it, which is really cool. It's one from Eco Lifestyle. And I just made that lip go inside rather than outside, because otherwise the stairs would be blocked by it. I don't think functionally it would block your Sims from using the stairs, but visually it just looks silly. So I made that face inside instead. And your Sims, again, they have no issues walking past that to get to the other side of the bed. This is still completely functional. Oh, I've just realised as well. So we've just got to the point where I'd actually paused my recording and I didn't realise. And I pretty much finished the build from this point onwards. And then I looked over at OBS and I thought, oh no. it's not recording. So I then went through, deleted everything after taking some screenshots and kind of re-recorded it. So it did mean that I was quite speedy the second time round, although I did think I changed my mind about a few things as well. So I guess maybe some things improved in areas, not that you'd know because you have no idea what I did initially. But yeah, that happened. There's been a few times now where I've had issues with recording. I just didn't press play or something like that, or it just crashed, or I ran out of memory space on my computer. Thankfully, I got a new SSD, so that should never happen again anytime soon. And then I didn't realize that I'd run out of memory, so I just kept recording until it was much later on. But anyway, so yeah, if you do see some furniture out and about where you haven't seen me actually decorate it in the speed build yet, that's because I forgot to delete that furniture when I went back through to re-record it. So just ignore that. Yeah, I think it was mostly just the balcony outside the bedroom where I forgot to delete it, and then I was like, oh, I'll just quickly remove that. I was tempted to just not mention it at all, but I thought it was funny, so I figured I'd share that with you. But that's pretty much the main part of the house done. I am just working on the outside areas now. I've got 2 tables on the front porch, which might seem a little bit odd, but again, it's one of the Sims things where there's a specific item that you need to be able to do certain activities. So I've just got a normal dining table, and then the other smaller table is a games table, so they can play cards and things like that. I do kind of wish that the games table was just like a pack of cards, and you can click on that pack of cards and just change it to a board game or something like that if you wanted. And then it's just a bit more functional in the sense of you can put that anywhere on top of an existing table rather than it being all encased in a table in and of itself. Oh, now that we've got to the balcony area as well, I've just remembered something which I wanted to point out, and it's that I couldn't put the railing all the way across the back of the build because of the fact that there was another set of stairs that went up to the very top floor where I've added this little green patch and some sunbeds. And so whenever I tried to put a fence there, it just deleted the stairs, and I couldn't sort of glitch it by putting a little piece of fence and then dragging it over. Nothing seemed to work, so I ended up using one of the wooden slat items. There's a few now. I think there's some in City Living, Get Famous, and there's also some in Eco Lifestyle. But 2 of those packs, I think it's Get Famous and Eco Lifestyle, they stick to walls rather than just standing by themselves. So I grabbed the one from City Living, which stands by itself, and then just popped that underneath the stairs. So it kind of continues the fence and hides the fact that the fence doesn't continue all the way to the wall. And it's just a little bit of added interest, I suppose, but that's why that's there. And then the fabrication room itself just has the fabrication machine, which is that black item with loads of glass around it, and it's basically like a giant 3D printer. I've also added the recycling machine because you will need that to be able to get the bits and pieces to be able to fabricate items in this particular expansion. And otherwise, we've pretty much come to the end of the speed build portion of the video. I just included this extra little awning item outside for a little bit of shade for your Sims, as well as including a bit more furniture into this fabrication section of the house because it felt a bit too empty. So I wanted to make it look a little bit more lived in and a bit more decorated. So I just included a little seat here for your Sims to sit while they wait for their 3D printing or something. But otherwise, I really do hope you have enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next post a video. And as I mentioned earlier, do let me know in the comments down below what you think of this build. And also if you've got any requests for future builds, be it in this series of like career types to make a house for, or just any builds in general that you'd like to see on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.